Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now let's give a warm welcome to our main speaker, who is Don N.
Name's Don Newcomb, alcoholic. Nice to be a part of this tonight. I want to thank Kelly for calling and inviting me. Y'all awful busy chattering when them traditions are being read. Don't like them, do you? If this thing ever disappears on you, you'll grow to like them. But I'm not here to judge you or take your little inventory. I'm supposed to share my experience, strength, and hope. And if you haven't already heard enough of that tonight, you weren't listening. So I'm not going to be able to add a whole lot to it. I especially enjoyed the birthdays. I won't apologize for being an alcoholic. I tried to divert a little bit. I went from Jack Daniels to rubbing alcohol. You don't sip that. At least I couldn't. Born and raised in Bakersfield. That's why I talk funny. Jack Daniels and Canadian Club and vodka, Johnson Johnson, Blue Cross and Menden's if necessary. And I had it very easy. I was raised in a very wealthy atmosphere. California state penal institutions. Never had to work, except when I wanted to get my privileges. Never really had to worry about anything on the outside because I didn't have anything I wanted to do. Education wasn't something I pursued, it was something I ran from. Very time consuming. Same reason I didn't like working, it's very time consuming. It interferes with drinking. I took up crime at, well, I was put in one of them county places at the age of 9. I was drinking by the age of 11, not heartily, but sufficient. And I decided to become a criminal at 12. Burglar, because I was a very skinny criminal. Skinny's good. Bakersfield, 1947. And I could crawl in and out of almost any kind of hole that had an opening and get in, get that beer and get that booze and go up in the better part of town and get that car. Go down the other side of town and get them girls. Get my buddies, go out to the river and get drunk. And I love drinking. I love drinking. Puking never stopped me from drinking. Lack of money never stopped me from drinking. The only thing that ever stopped me from drinking was only temporary, and that was the state of California. They interfered quite often. But I'm very creative, and I'm not well educated, but I learned early how to make my own alcohol, and it's good alcohol. It really is. It doesn't have any classy names on it. It's made from tomato puree. If you're working on the one I like to work on most. And tomato puree is good if you're new or an old and getting bored and you're a little short on cash. You know, the economy's a little rough right now, so tomato puree requires one of them large, big mouth cans of tomatoes stewed. And you need about 2 pounds of sugar, maybe 3. You don't want to put too much sugar in there. If you get too much in there, it'll kind of overkill. It stops whatever the hell it's supposed to do. And I didn't learn those from any science class. I learned them from experience. I learned them from depression. You know, when you take maybe a month or so to get the ingredients, and you got to hide it, and you got to find a place to hide it, and everybody in that place is looking for it. That's what I liked about it. You know, every cop in that prison is looking for it, and so you got to be very good. I mean, the whole thing is just it's a challenge. Just like I don't know anything about drugs, but I know some old dope fiends, and they used to tell me about how they used to tie off their arm, and they'd take that stuff and they'd play with it, and they'd tap it in, and then they would squirt a little and pull a little and play with it. And I guess to me, making the booze and hiding it was like that. It was entertaining. And when you put a lot of work into it and you find that it turned to vinegar, and it will do that, so if you're going to make yours, watch it closely. Watch the weather. Weather's very important. Get too hot, it'll cook only going to eat 72 hours is alcohol. That's all you need. It turns to vinegar. I'll tell you one thing it'll do. I guarantee it. It'll depress you. It'll make you read things that aren't there. It'll cause you to think thoughts that aren't real. It'll make you look at a bottle of rubbing alcohol and swear. It says alcohol. Why not? It should work. So I love my alcohol. I love drinking. I didn't work, didn't want to work. Became an armed robber at the age of 16. Took all the stuff out of my pockets. Didn't want any evidence. I was born in 1935, so I got the tail end of all those good gangster movies. I knew how to be a criminal, so I'd read about it. Burglary didn't work out for me too well. In Bakersfield, number one, I got inside some of those attics and then realized I was afraid of dark. And that'll cut your career short. But you know, you hang in there. And I don't like cockroaches, and I hate spiders. And so I gave up burglary, took up armed robbery, polished myself all up. I wanted to look cool. Couldn't find but one gun. It was very large. I'm very small. I'm drinking a little bit, not because I'm alcoholic. I'm drinking because when a boy that skinny with a gun that big points it at one of them oil field workers who's that big, the last thing you want is for your hand to shake or your voice to squeak. And both was happening. The only thing that worked in my favor was that I didn't recognize the power of fear. I knew it from the receiving end. I'm a hell of a fighter out of fear. Not successful, just willing. I can take a lot of whoopings. You know, you get in them institutions when you're as young as I was, you're walking in there pretty to begin with. Just pretty. You got to learn to walk across a prison yard and don't let your butt even move. Just you got to make major decisions in the middle of the night. And it puts a great separation between you and your fellow man when you walk into Alcoholics Anonymous. Had no idea I was going to be walking in here. I'd be careful. I'd be trying to get too cute with you and forget to give you the message. The message, in my opinion, has changed. A lot of you got different things going along with what you have, and that's fine. My message is not to help you decipher what you are or why you're here. My message, I hope, is to tell you no matter what you brought through that door, if you have the willingness to work this program, you will fit in here. You will be accepted here. You will be allowed to stay here. People will be kind to you no matter what you've done. I enjoyed those birthdays tonight, I really did. And I heard the hardness of the life that a couple have come from. And we walk in here, and there isn't a person that walks through that door into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, whether he knows it or not, or she, it is not in a state of surrender. And I don't surrender. I spent 21 out of 26 years locked up in institutions. I know how to survive. I've had my butt patted in the middle of the night when I'm a young little fella and I don't want to get hurt. And I got to turn around and fight somebody to defend my virginity. Now that's an awkward moment for a young man. But I was successful. I got here intact. Now, I had a lot of experiences in life that you don't need the information of. For instance, I was raised in a farm area, and you don't need that information. I enjoyed the first speaker very much. She asserted to the fact this is an AA meeting, but she, her story is that, and I appreciate that because that's what brings us here. Our story brings us here. The whooping of our story allows me to be surrendered enough to be teachable, and I enjoyed that very much. But a thought came in my head. If I give you all the information, there's about 7 men in here who will laugh heartily and wait to see me after the meeting, and the rest of you ain't gonna like me at all. You ain't gonna like me at all. So I'm gonna separate what you don't need to hear. I'm gonna tell you that I drank alcohol as long and as often as I could, and when it was possible, I'd make it. When it wasn't, I would take whatever's in that prison. And there wasn't a whole lot there. In 1970, the 5th of June, I walked out of prison. I had every guilt there is you're supposed to have. I survived. I'm a good convict. I ain't a stool pigeon. I ain't no sissy. I'm self-supporting through my own contributions. Whatever that means. Yeah, well, I hope whoever drank my water didn't have no flu. And on the 5th of June of 1970, I walked in here because I'd already been to Alcoholics Anonymous. I'd been there in 1956 or 1957. Went in there to serve a purpose. Standing on a prison yard, got 2 5-year life sentences. Hadn't had my 21st birthday, young and full of energy. And from the front gate, I could smell perfume. Damn. Looked out there and seen some women walking through that gate, didn't have no hair on their leg. They looked good. They were old. But I'm not even 22. They were like 30, 35. But, you got to compromise a little bit when you're in those situations. And I asked the man beside me, what's going on over there? And they said, that's an AA meeting. Well, how do you go to that? Just walk in there and tell them you're an alcoholic. And I thought about that a second. I've been an armed robber and a burglar and a rapist and a killer, and I've been all them things. I guess calling myself alcoholic isn't no big deal. But I drink awful well, so I know I'm not. And I went to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you were to ask me over the years that passed by, I would tell you it had absolutely no effect on me whatsoever. But a seed gets planted. And it's not planted when you're aware of it. It's planted when God's aware of it. And I didn't like that word God. You see, he let me down many times. But I know that to be a truth today. It's planted when he's aware of it, not when I'm aware of it. Because something began to take place that had not taken place before. So on the 5th of June of 1970, I'd made a grave mistake of walking into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in West Los Angeles, 26th and Broadway, and Ohio Street. And it was ran by a man who was somehow or another related to Hitler. I wouldn't have told him that. I certainly wouldn't have called him that. He was not, he was a little bit worse than most of the wardens I had known. And he had rules and regulations, and he ran a tight ship. And he was loud. And he was mean. And I walk in there, and it's an anonymous meeting. It says right on everything written, Alcoholics Anonymous. And what's the first thing hi, I'm so-and-so. What's your name? It's anonymous. What's your name? A35888. What's yours? Got a sponsor? Yeah, your mama. With her last night. And in that group, Hitler has them all brainwashed. In that group, you see them run across the room. Now, generally, when I have offended somebody, and I've intended to, and they go running across the room, I figure they're going to go get their stuff. Now, if you're a gentler soul, that means they're going to go get their knife or their club. And so I check. How am I doing tonight? Okay, I got the penknife in there. I'm not allowed to carry a gun ever again. That hurts my feelings. Because, you know, today I've changed. Ever again. Even if I get a pardon, never again. And that's good judgment by the state of California. See, I got this temper. I got this temper that I have no idea, not being a technician of firearms, what pressure it takes to hit a trigger, but I got to believe it's in the ounces. And I got a temper that will tell me it's a terribly good idea to destroy this human being in front of me. It don't matter that it happens to be my wife or a child. It has given me something I cannot deal with. I don't know how to deal with it, and it has just hurt my feelings. Kill it. Boom. So we don't want to have a gun. And what they do is they run across the room and they get these old wrinkled old faces. Call them old timers. And they over there whispering. I can see them. Okay, well, they're going to gang up on me. I've been ganged up on. I had 17 Mexicans try to jump on me in Preston in 1951. I'm just a little skinny kid. And I come out of that alive. I did fine. I did fine. All you got to do is curl up in the ball. You look good, baby. You look good when there's 17 people trying to whoop on you. And you just kind of curl up in a ball, make it look like you're getting in there for that combat move. No, you curl up. They like to beat themselves to death trying to get at you. And then the guard comes and he breaks it all up, and there you're standing there. It's like you want to say, yeah, you want some more? Oh, man, they scared the living crap out of me. They scared me so bad that in 1970, I still hadn't forgotten it. So when I walked into that meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, I kind of had to get my seat where there weren't no Mexicans. And I'd been pushed and tempted and pushed for all of those early years in prisons and reform schools with them sissy boys. And you got to make up that decision. You make it quick and then stand by it. No matter what your fantasy is, no matter what your mind is doing in the middle of the night when you're alone by yourself, you got to stand by that. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, when you go and put that key down on that seat, you don't know what's going to be sitting there beside you. And I love the ladies. I've always loved the ladies. I'm 67 years old tonight, and there ain't an ugly woman left in the world. But AA ruins that too. They gave me one with a different disease, Catholic. So in 1970, when you offend the little fella, and they run over and tell the old timer, and they find someone in the room who's already been where I've been, and then they come over to you, and it happens to be in this particular time period, Marvin R. That's Rosenthal, in case he wants his name mentioned. And Marv will walk over there all 6'4" and 200 and whatever pounds, and he leaned in quite gently and quietly, and he says, "We don't do it this way here." And I'm thinking, I'm sure you don't. But I don't say that, because I don't have a gun. Just a little knife, bitty knife. Oh, you can do plenty with it. But if you miss, it's really going to piss them off. They're going to beat me to death. 2 years later, 3 hand rises. Ridicule from the people in that group. God, that's a mean group. Pacific group. Shh. Ah, mean. Done your steps yet? What step are you on? What is this, man? I've been to penitentiary. I'm a reformed killer. For God's sake. You don't talk to me about steps. What do you mean steps? I don't say that to him. I try to recall. Where am I at? Oh yeah, that's right. I snuck the third step in on Stacy. She was pretty. So I got that done. The sponsors have me in the middle of my fourth step. We're not even into the third month, and I'm doing a fourth step. He said he wanted to get mine quick because I have a tendency to go out that door. So I did them reluctantly. Had a commitment every night, every meeting. Oh, that gets old, doesn't it? You know, when you start putting yourself at common labor, they will take advantage of you. They'll expect you to do that for a whole stinking year in my group. Coffee maker. After a while, you begin to realize you're not really appreciated for your talents. And so what you do is you make the coffee, and then you go around in the room, you walk down the aisle, and you listen. You listen for somebody to badmouth your coffee. And you're ready to go to war over bad-mouthing your coffee. Didn't have a principal to my name 6 months earlier. Cared nothing about no human being, but I'm ready to go to war over my coffee. Be where you say you're going to be. Do what you said you're going to do when you said you were going to do it. God, just make you want to puke. That's that monster, the head sponsor, Clancy. Oh. Keep raising your arm like that, kid, you'll get bursitis in it. Yeah. So we survived that. I had a sponsor named Keith. He was 6'4", 240-pound ex-football player. I didn't want no convict for a sponsor. I know all there is about doing time. I don't need somebody who's been in prison to sponsor me because I come out of prison. I know as much or more than most of them who come out. You know, I survived. I did my deal. There were people in that room I didn't approve of, and this sponsor told me he didn't care what I approved of. I had to shake their hand anyway. He told me when I put my keys down, I had to do that a half hour before the meeting started. You know how ugly that is? When you're standing here and there's nothing to do, people are going to come up and want to talk to you. What are we going to talk about, huh? I'm going to talk about things that offend you, so you won't come back and talk to me next week. And you're going to run over and tell that old wrinkled old fool, whoever he might be, I call him the AA police, and you're going to tell him what I just said, and he's going to go find my sponsor who is going to come over and ridicule me in a loud voice in front of everybody. And so I quit being smart. Want me to give him rides home. You don't know how to get home? Told me I had to say yes to an AA request. Asked him one time, how will I know it's something I should do? He said, just say yes to all of them. Oh, it's an ugly man. Wants to hug me all the time. Oh, I don't. I got here intact. And I don't need some ugly man hugging me. And Keith is not a pretty man. He was a center with the 49ers. Anybody that bend over in front of that many big men, you ought to question what they're doing. And walk across that room and grab me and hug me. And I'd explain to him in the nicest way I could. I mean, I ain't going to stab him. He's too big. You put a knife that small in a man that size, he's just going to get mad. Finally, I just quit fighting him. Ah, screw it. Hug me. About 6, 7 years ago, he walked up to me. He hadn't been my sponsor. Had him for 12 years, and then he moved to New York. Otherwise, I'd probably still have him. And I got his sponsor. Yeah, the warden, Clancy. But he come up to me about 4 or 5 years ago wanting to test my growth. He's always hugging me, kissing me on the cheek. You know, after a while, it felt good. Got a warm feeling in my stomach. It feels kind of nice. But this particular night, he comes in, you know, our room, that meeting's got over 800 people in that. And so there's a lot of witnesses. And he's coming straight at me. That big, ugly face coming right. He's going to kiss me on my lip. And I pulled back on him and I said, I called him Pappy. I don't know why. And I said, no, you ain't going there, Pappy. No. What if it feels good? I got to do a whole new inventory. And the reason I was able to find and develop that piece of humor, is because they made me say yes to everything. So when somebody walked up to the meeting who I didn't approve of and said, Don, I need a sponsor, I ain't got no choice. I want to say no. This big old, oh, I shouldn't be too unkind because it'll set you up wrong. This rather light-footed young man come floating across Wednesday night as though I was the only human being there, and he says, Don, I need a sponsor. You're going to miss the good part. But I don't give a damn. I didn't come here to kiss your ass. I come here to just tell you what I brought into this room. And when he asked me if I'd be his sponsor, I looked at him and I thought, I spent all them years in prison. I had caused some of them to be not ever come out. I have gone through all that crap. And I don't fool with no sissy boys, and I don't approve of what they're doing. And I'm thinking that in my head as he's asking me to sponsor him. And I look him dead in his eye, and I say, yeah, I'll sponsor you, Johnny. I have to say it. I don't want to say it. That don't make me a nice man. I didn't get here. I'm not nice yet today. I'm just a hell of a lot nicer than I used to be. There's people in this room I've never met, but we know some secrets about each other. and you can just see it. It's written on everywhere. And they're not just men. That's what I like. I said, sure, Johnny, you call me every day, and the first day you miss, you get another sponsor. And he rolled away, smiling like it just died and went to heaven. He just happy as he could be. Standing about 6 foot, nice-looking young kid. Called me every damn day. Every day, 7 o'clock in the morning. Hi, Spons. This is Johnny. Yeah, I know it's Johnny. I know it's Johnny. Called me happy. I don't like, you know, my wife doesn't appeal to me at 7 in the morning. Nothing does, you know. I'll kick the dog. How you doing, Johnny? I says with a smile. I don't even have to believe I'm saying, I don't even have to feel what I'm saying. All I got to do is say it. The one thing they gave me was the tool. Now, I know there's a few people in the acting world. Well, they had me acting long before I knew it. And I must have been good at it. Because I'm still sober. And I didn't believe in anything they were telling me. I didn't want to be hugged. I didn't want to be touched. I don't believe I have to have a commitment at every meeting. I think you're using convict labor when you do it. I didn't believe that my getting somewhere on time was important. The things I do today, I have been doing for almost 31 years. You know, give me about, what did we say, about 6 more days. If I don't get drunk or drop dead, it'll be 31 years. Now, it's not a plot. And I've offended many people. I have not tried to offend many people. When I started sponsoring John Baruti, it took me about 6 or so months to find out his sexual preferences are none of my business. That ain't what we're there for. None of my business. That boy called me every day. We did his inventory. I wanted to give him some garbage because he's going to take me down. He's going to take me to New York in the alleys doing them things them boys do. Pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization I don't approve of. Farm or no farm. I didn't say nothing. Women that are laughing must have a hell of imagination. I don't. or a story I'd like to hear. But I stopped Johnny in the middle of his inventory and I gave him this little story, and it was a nasty story by any man's standard. And when I got through, he looked at me in utter disgust. He says, "You did what?" I figured I'd overkilled a little bit there. I might have gave him more information than he needed. Johnny was about 5 years sober when he discovered he had AIDS, and I was quite concerned, because for 5 years I've been getting them phone calls, and in 5 years' time I had as much love for John as I did anybody else I sponsored. I felt closer to him than I did my own family, because I'm not close to my family. And we had been down that road and we had done some journeys. Isn't that amazing? The man I hated the most, represented the thing I hated the most, became my greatest teacher. And I could have missed it all if it hadn't been for that Jew boy on the side named Rosenthal saying, "We don't do it that way here." If you have a problem about prejudice in any form, take it to a Jewish sponsor, because I'll guarantee you they're an authority on prejudices. I mean, that one is, he's over in Vegas now still lying to people. Been sober, he's sober forever. Bless his heart. Johnny died of AIDS. I walked him to his grave, and I got to watch the strongest man in the world go through that, and that was a terrible thing to watch. And I lost a dear, dear friend. And I heard the lady talk tonight about losing her father, 22 years sober. And maybe it's coincidence, and maybe it isn't, but last week I lost a dear, dear friend. Caught me. 22 years sober. His name was Chuck Bernard. And we had walked him to the grave several years earlier. Cancer. God, I hate cancer. They told him, well, you won't. I called him up to talk to him on Friday. They said, forget it. He won't be here Monday. And he was here Monday. Because you see, dying ain't our business. And dying ain't doctor's business. Dying is God's business. And living is our business. And that man lived his life. I'm so blessed to be in this program. Sometimes it gets tough. Sometimes the journey is hard. It has a lot of elements in it called daily living. Just because you get sober, ain't nobody standing around, "Oh, isn't it wonderful? God, he hadn't killed nobody today. Isn't he wonderful?" Chuck was a hustler. Classy kind. You know. The last time when he was supposed to die and he didn't, I guess it's been about, I'd like to say 5 years. I'm not sure how long we had after that. When that was going on, I went over to see him when he's laying there and he's on his journey, and we've talked, and you know, it's just reality we're talking about, because I'd been sober a long time, and he'd been sober long enough, and we both know that this isn't, we don't know anything about this stuff. And I said, he had a double-barrel shotgun up on his wall. I'm not allowed to have firearms, and so I can't have anything that'll actually fire. And I said, Chuck, you know, they tell me you're going to leave here real soon. You got any of them secrets you need to get rid of? And he's got this deep voice, and he said, "Yeah. You give me one of yours, and I'll give you one of mine." And I gave him one of mine, and he gave me one of his. As I'm getting ready to walk out the door, I turned to him. I said, "You know, would you tell Marjorie that shotgun, you're going to let me have that? It's an old antique. It's worth nothing. I just want to have one that I can take all the firing mechanism off of it and put it up on my mantle someday." He said, "I'll tell her." 6 or so months go by and he's still alive. A year goes by and I go by to see him, and I said, "You know, you really cheated me." "Why, mate? You're going to give me that shotgun if you died. When you died, you're going to tell Margie." "Take the goddamn thing." It won't fire, but I got it. Yeah. The love that grows between two human beings, whether they be male or female, does not require the endorsement of a bed. If it does, you're on the wrong end, you're the wrong part of it. That's the fringe benefit. That Catholic girl made me stay engaged to her for 8 years. Never been with nobody. They wanted me to get rid of my past marriages. Had 2 of them. Wanted her to have a full wedding mass. Had to make one of them things out of me. Slapped me upside the head, threw water in my face, made me a Catholic. Well, what the hell's the difference? I'm an alcoholic and I'm all those other things the penal code has said. Why not a Catholic? I caught her on a 12-step call, in case you're new and you resent 12-step calls. I'm not going to get this done right on that minute, but I'll come a little close as I can. My wife is a lovely, lovely woman. Her hair runs all the way down to the back of her knees. She's a very beautiful lady. She started doing what they do best, having babies. We got 11 and 9 and 7-year-old baby boys at home. When I come to this program, I could not let my stepson, who I was from another marriage, I couldn't let him sit on my lap because I just had that hang up in my head. Men don't touch men, boys don't touch boys. I'd been nailed when I was 7 years old. Nobody knew that except my sponsor until after. John Baruti knew it. Those are the secrets you get to share with somebody when it's one-to-one, they're doing them inventory. You give up that ghost then. But I couldn't touch that boy. And my sponsor had to teach me how to hug him and hold him and how to kiss him. And when I go home from this meeting tonight, there's going to be 3 boys and they'll be all over me. They'll be all over me. And they'll all kiss me. They always kiss me coming over here. They all kiss me, lined up and give me kisses. And they kiss me on the mouth, and I'll be kissing them on the mouth when I go home. And there's nothing runs through this head except the wonderful love that I feel has been given to me. I'd have missed it all. 6 years ago, this coming October, I crawled underneath a car. I had it jacked up with one jack. I had the right front tire off, the 1984 Dodge Caravan. When I went to come out from it, the jack collapsed. The brake rotor buried itself in my forehead. The back of my head split open because I'm laying on concrete. I'm at a man's house that I sponsored. My wife's in the backyard. I cannot move. I can't get anything audible out of me. I was not some hardened convict laying under there saying, is that the best you can do? I was a weak, frail human being screaming out as loud as I could, not even getting a voice. Please help me. Somebody please help me. And then I said, God help me. And it just went quiet. There was no fear. There was no terror. It just went soft, sweet, and quiet. And the next thing I know, this car is moving around. And what I didn't know at the time was my 136-pound wife come out there and grabbed the wheel well, said one of them Catholic dudes, and picked that car up off my head. And they told me I'd never work again. I was too old to rehabilitate. I love that. I'd never work again. I had wanted to hear those words all my life. But you know, when you tell an alkie they can't do something, what do they do? You just got to. Stay away from her. Oh. Well, damn. Who's going to tell her about her loneliness if I don't? And obviously, my home group surrounded me. That warden, all the people in that group. And I have a big family, and they paid many bills. And I don't have one piece of paper that says I owe you on it. I finally got myself back to work. And they did a little blood test on me, and damn, they didn't find cancer in my prostate. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm just getting the hang of this thing. Now you want to take it away from me? And they said, well, the best thing we could do is cut it out. I asked my sponsor, because that's what I always do. And my sponsor said, what are the options? And I told him. He says, I haven't cut it out. So I had him cut it out. I have since developed a tremendous sense of humor with my wife. That 8 years we were engaged and had no bedroom privileges, I didn't know I was practicing for this period of my life. I had no idea. It takes an extremely loving, patient, tolerant, self-denying human being to walk with somebody through these journeys that are so impossible to walk through. And it's laughter today. It's laughter. You talk to me 5 minutes about that prostate, and we're going to be laughing because it's not important. And that's fine. They kicked me off the job I had. They finally got back to work. It's awfully important to be self-supporting. Very difficult when you're physically challenged, put down, you can't do nothing. Very difficult. Quit looking at your watches. I'll stop when I stop. It won't be long. I promise you, it won't be long. And if you can't wait, just get up and go. Because you see, I happen to believe that the change is the only thing I have to offer any of you. The change from what I was when I came into what I am today. The love I have for my sons, the kissing of them boys, the holding, the hugging of them. I believe there's a big message there. I believe there's a message in the fact that I didn't run out and kill myself, get drunk, or anything else over prostate surgery. I believe there's a big message that God is not after me because of the harm I've done to other human beings, or he would have got rid of me that day under that car. I believe that today. And I got back to work full-time a year ago last March, union engineer, getting good money. October the 28th, I turned 67 years old. October the 29th, they did open heart surgery on me. They took a vein out of my leg and they did quadruple bypasses. December 20th, they put a clean out in my thing supposed to make my brain work better. It ain't working. And the men I work with saved my job for me. It's a union job, and I'm not committed to that building. I'm committed to a company, and they saved my job for me, and I went back to work again. And a few weeks ago, I got an infection where they took the vein out of my leg. And I'm sitting here to tell you, I am the luckiest man there is. I'm not pitiful because all these terrible things have happened to me. I am the luckiest man there is. I had absolutely no idea I had cancer. There's no way I'm supposed to survive that crash. My head's rebuilt with titanium. There's no way that I'm supposed to know that I even need a heart. I haven't got the slightest idea I got a problem with my heart. And an infection in the leg? What the hell? I told Clancy the other day, if the leg doesn't get better and we lose it, I just want permission after all these years. I want to get a peg leg, and I want to get a patch. And I want to grow a beard. Because he's never allowed me to grow a beard. And I do whatever he tells me, because he's my sponsor. And my home group is my home group. And I don't care what your reason for walking through those doors are. I don't care how mean and how bad you are. I don't care what a killer and gangster, whatever, a molester you were. I don't care. When you walk through that door, you're in a state of surrender. When you turn yourself to these people and they start putting these steps inside of you, they are taking every piece of crap you've got inside of you and they're going to make a useful tool out of it. Sorry to steal your extra time. Love you. Bye-bye.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.